What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. I gotta apologize. I definitely doubted Maresca whenever I saw the lineup today, and some of that is just because in the league we've not been performing that well. You look at our past run of matches, the draw against Arsenal and Man U, the barely win against Leicester. It's been a little rough going in the league, and when I saw the lineup this morning, I was a little concerned. It looked like he was going to be basically setting up with a 3-5-2, with Palmer and Jackson kind of being up top-ish. It didn't look right. And then when I saw what we were actually setting up for, it still felt a little weird, just seeing Caicedo starting at the right back and then going into midfield whenever we had the ball. It was definitely an odd formation. Cucu was kind of the left-sided center back, but with more license to get forward. I wasn't entirely sure, but as the game wore on, clearly it was the right decision. It worked out well. We dominated the game. A little bit of a scare in the second half, but I'll get to that. But I do want to first of all touch on Aston Villa, because I'm already seeing it. The media is already going on their little spiel about, Aston Villa was just so bad. Go back to the studio on NBC. Robbie Musto was talking about how Villa just looked lifeless. They definitely were not good enough today, blah, blah, blah. Not giving Chelsea any praise. And then, of course, cuts to Robbie Earle, who's given Man U all the praise today for some reason. And this is an Everton team, by the way, that has not won since mid-October. And that was against Ipswich. They lost to Southampton. They've not won in a while. They haven't had any other competitions to play in either. And Man U dominate them. Yeah, that's expected. We're playing against a Villa side that, they've not won in the past 7 games, but they've also been playing in the Champions League. I think we probably still have a slightly more difficult game today than Man U do, and yet Man U is back. And for Chelsea, Villa just looked poor today. That's what the media tends to do, though. They build up Man U. It's funny because I'm just sitting here, I'm sure all the Man U fans are freaking out saying, we're back, Amarim's the best manager ever. And even though I want them to take points off of Arsenal for our sake, I fully expect them to get thumped midweek to bring them back down a little bit more closer to reality. But anyways, I do think today Villa do look poor. I do think they lack some confidence, but this is still a game for us that is tricky. Because I've seen this before where we're playing against a team that is in a bad run of form. It can be tough sometimes, because if you don't get that early goal, it can be difficult to not let them grow in confidence. They're looking for that win. They're looking to turn things around. It's been a while for them that they've tasted any sort of success. So any sort of confidence you give them, if you let them back into the game at all, it's going to be a tough game. So we had to do our job early on, put that first goal in, and then once that happened, then it was a little bit more comfortable. But even then, we've only put 2. And that's a scoreline. I know people say most dangerous scoreline in football. When you're in the lead, 2-0 is one that it should be comfortable, but it's not. And especially as the second half wore on, before we got that third goal, there was a feeling that if that goal came for Villa, we were letting them into the game a little too much. If we let them have that goal, they were having some decent chances. I was getting nervous, because that is that moment whenever you let them score and there's about 10-15 minutes left, that's the perfect amount of time for them to say, hey, we've got this goal, we've got a chance, let's take it to them. And suddenly that confidence is back. So yes, we're facing an Aston Villa side that is low on confidence. We still had to keep them out. We still had to make sure we did our job early, we put them to the sword early, and then we made sure to keep our defense solid and not let them score. And Sanchez had to make some good saves too. I do want to throw that out there. I do think Villa were not good today, but I think we helped with that. I think we did our jobs in that respect. So any media person that's out there saying that Chelsea won because Villa were bad, or they're focusing more on Villa being bad, it just goes to show you kind of the media agenda is more so to focus on Chelsea are not really that good. It's just the teams they're playing are not doing that well right now. But yeah, focusing in on Maresca's tactics today, I mean, it worked well. It is very similar to a lot of what we've been seeing this season, where Caicedo is the fullback that inverts, basically. So when we're out of possession, he's dropped back there on the right side. You got Cucu, Colwill, Fofana. That's the rest of your back four. Lavia is the midfielder that sort of stays deeper, and Fernandez is the one that drops in whenever we lose the ball, but he'll get forward whenever we have it. Palmer and Fernandez up in behind Jackson is actually working really well at the moment. And it's not something I expected to see. I mean, Fernandez, his form has definitely turned a corner now, and we're starting to see him get better and better. But seeing him and Palmer work side by side, not really something I expected. But last season, when I thought he was playing well, it was from a deeper position. So I thought he was going to be more of a Fabregas type of player where he's sitting deeper and he sprays balls wide and good passing from deep. But he's showing right now he can actually do the job closer to the 18, which is not something I saw from him before. Everybody was talking about how that's what Pochettino wanted him to do, but every time he got close to the box, I felt like all of his brain cells just left. It was anytime he was within 20 yards of the goal, brain dead. No idea what he wants to do with it. He's showing he's got that quality too in this game. I did not expect that from him, and it's really showing that Maresca knows how to get the best out of these players. I mean, when you look at him, when you look at Caicedo, when you look at Jackson, all three of them are players that last season, the season before for a couple of them, you didn't really feel like there was any sort of answer of what we wanted from them, and it felt like there was just too many issues, too many gaps in their game, and I think a lot of people, myself included, were unsure if they were ever going to reach the heights that we would need them to be at. But Maresca's brought it out of him somehow, whether it's his tactics, whether it's the way he's managing them, whatever he's doing, we're seeing the best of Caicedo. We're now seeing the best of Fernandez. We've seen the best of Jackson from the beginning of the season. And it's really nice to see as well. But now going into individuals, first of all, we'll start with Sanchez because he wasn't bad today. His passing is still a little frustrating, but we didn't really use him for his feet that often. So really the biggest moments for him were the saves he had to make, and he made a couple of really, really good saves. I mean, the first one in the first half from Fofana's mistake, I think that's a really good one. He comes out and smothers it really well, and that's against Watkins, who is a good striker. Maybe not in the best run of form at the moment, but he's got the quality to finish, and Sanchez, I thought, did really well to read the situation, come out, make himself big. And then the second half, a couple of good ones, but then especially the one clipped over the top from Duran and comes out again big, makes a good block. So he's showing again that his shot stopping is good, but the problem is, as we all know, his passing is still just not good enough. And because we do tend to use his feet more often than not, it's still scary. The few moments in the game whenever we were dropping it back deep to him, it was scary moments because you never know what you're going to get from him. So it's still something that needs to improve if we're going to continue to play this Maresca ball that he wants to see. We're going to need to have a keeper back there who can do it. Because, in games like this where Villa were sitting very deep, we had a lot of possession, more so around the midfield than in our back line. In games like this, he's not going to be that big of an issue. But in other games we see where teams press us high and we have possession more so in our defensive third, those are the games whenever he's going to be called into question. And more often than not, he's failing that test. Going into the defense, we'll look at Fofana first, because once again, I feel like this is another example of the defensive lapses in his game are so apparent to me. I truly don't understand what people are seeing when they say that he's our best defender alongside Colwill, because there are just so many moments. First half, their best chance comes from him not doing his job against Watkins. It's a one-on-one race. All he's got to do is get there, get the ball away, but instead, he tries to win possession, and that gives Watkins a chance to flick it away from him. And now he's through on goal. And if not for Sanchez making a great save, Aston Villa's back in the game. And there are too many moments like that. I mean, it was very similar to what we saw from Foss last week against Leicester, what he did with Jackson. Just get in there and clear it. You don't need to go in and try to win possession and keep possession. The striker's right on your back, and he's a good striker. So get rid of it. But he goofs around, nearly gives away a goal, and then in the second half, the way he gets injured is because he doesn't go and just clear the ball. It's in the air, and he's clearly going to get there first over Watkins. Just go in, head it away, or kick it away, or something. But he lets it bounce, and now all of a sudden, it's dangerous. You let that ball bounce, you give the striker a chance to go in and win it. And then he steps on the ball, slips on it, hurts himself in the process. But there are too many moments like that where his decision-making is terrible. I saw the chance that Forrest had late on pop up again, and I just don't understand how people can look at these moments from him where Villa are getting chances because of his individual error and say that he is good enough. He's good enough to be in our back line. How can you say that? When so many people are ripping into Badiashile and Disasi for their individual errors, how do you not also look at Fofana and say he's making similar mistakes? I just truly do not get it. I truly do not understand. And then, of course, when he comes off, for some reason, Badiashile comes in over Tosin. How is Tosin not taking that starting spot? How is he not doing enough? Is it something in training, or is it Maresca just wants to keep him as the leader for the secondary team? I really want to know. I want to know why Tosin is not being seen as an option to start alongside Colwell, because I think he's a better option than Fofana is, by far. Overall, I think Fofana, it's a very similar game where people are going to look at some of the challenges he made and go, oh yeah, good game for Fofana, and just ignore the mistakes that nearly led to goals, if not for Sanchez's brilliant interventions. Colwell on the left side, did well for the most part. Good passing, good defensive work, made some good blocks at the end as well. So overall, I thought he did fine. I think he's really coming along. It's quietly coming along too. He's grown into probably our best defender, and I'm happy for him in that sense. Then Cucu on the left side, he's pretty close to man of the match for me today. A lot of really good defensive work. And he's a player that I've talked about before. Some games I think he looks effective, and then some games I think that energy and that work rate feels a little misguided, and it's sometimes a little naive. But today I thought he worked very effectively on that left side and kept a lot of the chances from coming down that side and from being more dangerous than they looked initially. So yeah, overall, really good game from him. Almost man of the match, but there's somebody else that I think takes that honor. Caicedo, like I said, playing on the right side, but then stepping into the midfield. I thought he had another good, solid game. It's good to see that he can do that because it gives us another option, especially now with James being out for a while, which just quick thoughts on that again. I think we need to move on. I think you just got to let him run down his contract. I don't think we're going to sell him because too many teams are going to see his injury record and not want to pay. But I don't think, don't give him a contract extension. I think captaincy-wise, I don't think he should be our captain anymore because the captain should be more involved. And granted, if he's doing captain stuff, if he's being a leader, even though he's injured, maybe at training and stuff, if he's doing some of that, then maybe. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. But definitely we need to have somebody besides Fernandez to step up and be the captain. I think Fernandez, he's coming back into the team, so good for him. But I still think you look at a more consistently involved player, somebody like Colwell, somebody like Caicedo, somebody like Cucu. You look at those guys, I think you've got a little bit better option for a captain there. So I honestly, my vote would be for, assuming he continues on in the form we're seeing, my vote would be for Colwell because he's coming out of our academy as well. And I think he's really stepped in there and shown a lot more leadership in the back line. I still would like a little bit more organization, but I think that just comes from experience. So we need somebody like a Silva who can come in there and organize that defense a bit better. But I think definitely from looking at it from a who's best suited to be the consistent captain that will play every match, I think Colwell is definitely our best option in that sense. But yeah, I think for James, though, it's just time to bid him adieu because I think looking at it between having the surgery and the fact that Maresca was managing his minutes and managing how much he was getting forward, I think this was his best opportunity to stay fit and grow into the team, and he still gets hurt. Despite the managing of minutes, despite the fact that he wasn't bombing up and down the field nearly as much, he was not running himself nearly as much, he still gets hurt. So it's just his body is too weak, unfortunately. And that's, I feel bad for him. I definitely hate it for him. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for the club. And what's best for the club is you got to move him on because you can't keep paying him all this money and he plays 5 to 10 games per season. That's just it's not good business, unfortunately. Going back to Caicedo, I thought he handled his job very well today. Defensively did his job in right back. Also in the midfield too. Sometimes he had to break up play there. But I think on the ball as well, he looked very confident today. Wasn't 100%. There were a couple of passes that I do remember thinking, what was that? And I think those were more shocking to me because his passing today was overall so good. So there's a couple of moments whenever all of a sudden he just passed it right to a defender. It felt very out of character. So I think it's a good thing to feel whenever you look at mistakes happening and feel more surprised by it, because that means the player's playing so well that mistakes are not as common. Whereas when I look at his original performances when he first came in, mistakes were very commonplace. So every time he made one, it was almost like, yeah, there's another one. You almost forget about all of them because of how many there were. Going into the midfield, Lavia, the first one, I thought he was okay. Definitely a better performance than what we saw in his cameo against Leicester and his performances against Arsenal and Man U. I feel like today was a lot more what I want to see from him. He gets on the ball. He looks pretty solid. Defensively, I thought he was making some good challenges, breaking up play a bit. It's almost like he should be similar to Caicedo, but I want him to be a little bit better on the ball than Caicedo. I want him to be kind of a mix between Caicedo and Fernandez. I don't know. Sometimes it looks like he's not really handling the defensive side well. He's not tracking runners very well. And then other times on the ball, it feels like he's given it away a little too cheaply. It's a very up and down performance from him today. Not huge mistakes, but definitely a few mistakes trickled in there. And his overall performance wasn't phenomenal. It was just good. I thought he handled it okay in the midfield. So probably the most performance on the day outside of Fofana, obviously. But going into the other midfielder who is my man of the match, Fernandez once again looked great in the midfield. And it's really surprising. I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect him to not only come back into this team after he was kind of being pushed out, maybe pushed toward the secondary team playing in the Conference League. You have that, but also he's playing further forward and he looks good up there. I was not expecting that. I don't know how Maresca got him to read the game better up there, but yeah, it looked good. And gets himself a goal. His passes today were dangerous. They were creating good opportunities. I think even off the ball, you look at some of the defensive challenges he's having to make, being that more box-to-box midfielder. I think he's even doing some of that pretty well. So all in all, another really good performance from him today. And in my opinion, he deserves man of the match because of his overall performance. Obviously, a lot of people are going to look at Palmer. He got the assist. He got the goal. They'll probably give it to him on that. But I personally think Fernandez deserves it more because of how well he performed throughout the entire match. But going on to the wings, first we'll start with Sancho. I thought looked pretty good today. Wasn't great. Definitely not as good as the performance we saw against Heidenheim, but I think he's a player that he has spurts of quality throughout the match where he'll be involved for a good 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and he'll get on the ball, he'll look dangerous going down the line, he'll take on a defender, make some good passes, and then he sort of fades out a little bit. I think it's kind of intentional. I think you take the focus off of him for a little bit to open up space for him again, and then it comes back to him whenever he's in a bit of space and he's one-on-one with the defender and he has a bit more time and space to create something. So it's something that I think I noticed a bit more in this match because of how in control and how dominant in possession we were. There were moments whenever I saw it felt like we were focused a bit more on keep it in the middle, keep it on the right side, and then we'd swing it left and give it to him and let him create something down that left side. And I thought he did it pretty well today. I wish he could have gotten on either the assist or the score sheet just to sort of keep that momentum going for him. But I think his performance, it was solid. And I think the more he gets time, the more he comes back into this team, I think the more we'll see he's got quality and he's going to create something the more time you give him and the more trust you give him on that left side. But that opened up, in my opinion, Neto on the right side, who I thought had a really good game. Also did not get on the score or the assist sheet, but I thought he played really well. I think he looks dangerous driving in, cross into that back post on his left, little curler. That it's a dangerous ball, and if somebody can just get in there and get a toe on it or just put the keeper off a little bit, honestly what it reminds me of a bit is Ziyech and Willian, because they were both players that they'd cut in on their dominant foot and then send that cross into the back post, and if you got somebody breaking in there, very good chance it's going to just curl in and creep into that far post. So if he continues to do that, I do think we'll be successful the more that we see that happening. But I think his overall work rate is phenomenal. I mean, he is bombing up and down that right-hand side, and he looks dangerous as well. Even on the left side, it's funny because whenever he switched over there, I thought, okay, well, we'll probably see a bit less of him now. But honestly, even on that side, it's like he can do either or. He can either cut in on the right and cut it on his left foot, have a shot or a bending cross to the back post, or on the left side, he'll just drive down and cross it in on his left and put in a really good cross that can be dangerous. I like having a player that can do either side, that can play on either side, because we don't have a lot of those, I feel. I think Madueke, you can only play him on the right side. Sancho and Mudryk, I think you can only play them on the left side. So it's nice to have Neto, who, yes, he looks a bit better coming in on the right, but he can play on the left and still be effective as well. And then Palmer in the center, I thought had a pretty quiet game for the most part until those couple of moments of quality that we saw from him. And I think that also is kind of intentional. Similar to what I was talking about with Sancho, there's that feeling that it's not he's necessarily dropping out or fading out of the game. It's almost like he's biding his time, waiting for that opportunity to get on the ball and make something happen. And he did it twice today, between the assist for Fernandez's goal and then the goal he scored himself. Both of those moments were just pure quality. Great ball into Fernandez that allows him to set up to have a good shot, and then the finish is just brilliant from Palmer. I mean, just a nice curler to that back post and around a defender too, so the keeper has no chance of seeing it until it's too late. But he has that quality, and I'm glad that he gets on the assist and on the score sheet, because it has been a bit of a rough run for him recently. I feel like the pressure, I don't know if it's been getting to him, but definitely the amount of people that are focusing on it, it's getting a little annoying, because you just know he's good for a good game soon. You know that he's being marked out of games. He's getting a lot of attention right now from other teams. You just know there's going to be that game where he finds a bit of space, he finds that pocket, and he can do something with it. And I think today was a great game for that, because there were a couple of moments where they sat off of him. We see what he can do if you give him that time. So I do think probably we'll see a little bit more attention given to him midweek again, assuming he starts. I don't know how many changes Maresca is going to make because it's a midweek game, but it's Premier League. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that. But I definitely think that is a good moment for Palmer, because he hasn't been as involved recently. It's a good chance for him to get back into it, and hopefully we'll see that confidence come back into him, and we'll see him go on a bit of a run now. And then Jackson gets himself a goal early on, and for the most part, just very dangerous. Once again, good runs in behind, testing the defense, really giving them trouble as well, not letting them have a chance to breathe. Even his pressing, I think today was probably the best I've seen this season. He typically does press a lot. I'm not saying he doesn't, but sometimes his press can be a little uncontrolled. It feels like he's just sort of chasing after the ball, and there's no real sense of, well, who's pressing behind me? What teammates are helping me out? Today, it felt like he was really connected to Palmer, Fernandez, the wings. It felt like he was really connected to everybody, so he knew where to position himself, and nearly got himself a goal from Martinez's terrible pass to him. So it just showed, I felt like today he was a lot more connected with everybody else on the press. And then on the ball, maybe could have had a couple more moments of quality from him to finish, but the goal itself was really well taken. Then looking at the subs that came in, first of all, Maresca came on for Fofana when he was hurt. And again, I just don't understand why Tosin's not the one coming in. I don't understand. And first of all, he's right-footed, so it makes sense when you think about Colwill on the left and Tosin on the right. But I just think he's a better defender overall, and Maresca didn't really make any mistakes today, but he seems susceptible. There are moments whenever he comes flying out into a challenge, and it feels like if you just get past him, you're probably going to have a lot of space to run into. It's a little naive the more I watch him. And I truly don't understand why he's the first option off the bench, because I don't think he has the quality to perform well at this level. Now, granted, maybe Maresca's looking at it and going, well, he's young, so give him a chance to grow into it. But for me personally, I just don't see that quality there. I don't see the quality that I thought I saw when he first came in. It feels like a lot of it is just he's too slow. He's too slow defensively. He's too slow on the ball. Like I said, no major mistakes from him today. It just didn't really feel like he was ready if they truly came at us in the second. If we gave up that first goal when it was 2-0, if we gave up that goal, I really feel like he would have shown he's not really up for this. The next subs were Cucu and Madueke. I don't really mind either of those. Cucu comes on. I know he's not a 9, but that is kind of his role right now. We need him to be a second striker because we saw Guiu's not ready for it. So at least until we get that second striker in, I do think this is probably where Nkuku's going to be playing. I thought he could have done a little bit more. I think his touches and his passes and some of the interplay that we saw with him, I thought looked good, but his finishing quality still lacks a little bit. I think there probably is a bit of a mental thing there, because we saw earlier this season his finishing was looking really good. He looks a little off of it now. That chance he had at the end of the game that he put wide, I think, an Cucu that's in form and feeling confident, I think he probably either puts that on target and forces a save, or he either finds a better pass or a better shot in general. But I think his overall play looked pretty solid up there. He's definitely looking a little bit better when it comes to his touches, whereas Jackson, a couple of his touches today did get away from him. I think at Cucu's touches look a little bit more calm and composed. So brought a little bit different type of player up front for us. Madueke thought he came on with a bit of a point to prove, and I think he did okay with his little cameo. Obviously got himself the assist for Palmer's goal, but I didn't think he was looking to try to take on the defender every time. He didn't look like he was trying to do it all himself today. It felt like he was really focused on trying to actually play with everybody else around him and move the ball well. Yeah, I thought it was a decent little cameo. I'm not saying start him next match or anything. I mean, he might because it's a midweek game, but I think he probably needs to start a bit in the Conference League and get him working there, get him trying to play with everybody there. Either that or just let him do what he does. I mean, he's really good at running at players and looking dangerous going down that line. It's just more often than not in the Premier League, he's not going to have that option. I think maybe in the Conference League, you will see him able to do that more. So maybe that's what he needs. Just give him some time there, let him grow in confidence. Yeah, it's not exactly what we need from him when he plays in the Premier League, but if it's what he wants to do, if he wants to drive at players, if he wants to take them on, have shots, drive to the line and cross it in, then yeah, I think at the Conference League, that's perfectly suited to what he wants to do. I don't know if that's what Maresca wants, but that's how I'm sort of looking at it right now. I really don't want to see him that often in the Premier League. And then the final two subs were kind of just last minute, give Palmer a little bit of a rest, put Gusto in, give him a little bit of minutes. I want to say it was like 85. I actually don't remember what time it was at that point, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty late into the game. Felix just give him a few minutes just to let him play in that number 10 in behind in Cucu. That's a relationship that I think they've been trying to grow in the Conference League, which had its moments, but recently I've not seen as much from it. And I thought if Felix came in, looked very energetic as usual, nearly got himself a goal, nearly turned into a goal, forced a save that Madueke, I thought had a good shot, and then Olsen made another great save. But yeah, I think came on with a lot of energy, and then Gusto basically slotted into the position we normally see him in, which is that right back slotting into the midfield, and looked okay. Didn't make any mistakes, and I thought it looked pretty energetic in there. But yeah, all in all, it's a good win. It puts us into third, only behind Arsenal because A comes before C. And I think it sets up for a lot of confidence going forward. I still think we're not in the title race because I think Liverpool are probably about to start running away with it. Last I checked, they were 1-0 up against Man City. Don't know if that's changed. I think we really do have a chance to sort of run away with the top four. But I think you look at some of those other teams that are going to be fighting for top four. You think about Brighton, Forest, Tottenham, Brentford, Man U, Fulham, Newcastle. All of them are there or thereabouts. With a couple of wins, suddenly they're in touching distance of the top four if we drop some points. So I think it's very important for us to go on this good run that we have. A lot of teams that we're playing that we should be taking 3 points from. I think this was one of the ones, and then Tottenham is the other one, that I look at it and go, this is going to be possibly a difficult match. The rest of them, I look at it and go, if we want to be serious about top four this season, we need to be winning these games. We need to be taking all 3 points. You look at teams like Southampton, teams like Everton, teams like that we should be beating. So it's a matter of, can we get the job done? Can we pull it together and show what we're capable of like we did today? And if we do that, I think we have a good chance of probably taking a full set of points out of all of our next several matches and putting ourselves in a good position to, maybe we're in touching distance of the title race, but I truly do think Liverpool is about to sort of run away with it. And I think Arsenal probably will try to keep up with them, and Man City, I don't know what's going to happen to Man City, but I feel like they're going to find their form probably pretty soon, because I feel like December's typically where they find a way to turn it around. But I think for us, if we just continue to do our jobs, I think we easily run away with that fourth position at worst. At best, we could be running away with even the third place position if Man City start dropping off. But yeah, it's a good feeling to have, though. And it's something that does give me a lot more confidence because, like I said, the past few matches have been a little rough. Some worries, some frustrations. I think this one was a good one to sort of calm some of those fears and say, no, we're here. We're doing well. We're comfortable. Now we just need to do it again. And I think if we continue to do that, it's going to be a good Christmas for us. So with all that being said, those are my thoughts on today's game. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? What are your thoughts on players and Maresca? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a couple Let's Plays on there as well as a lot of TV show reviews, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you all later. Peace out.